Welcome to another edition of One on One with Miss Lafon. Joining me this week from the Black Star Riders and Thin Lizzy is vocalist Ricky Warwick. He's got not one, not two, but three new albums for you this year. Coming out in February is When Patsy Cline Was Crazy and Guy Mitchell Sang the Blues. Album number 2 is called Hearts on Trees. And then a little bit later this year, you can head over to PledgeMusic.com and find it there. You've got Stairwell Troubadour, which is a covers album that has some Iron Maiden, some Britney Spears, some, well, everything. So a great covers album to check out right there. We have a great chat with Ricky. We talk about Mikkey Dee joining Thin Lizzy and going out for a few shows this summer. We talk about the Black Star Riders, Damon Johnson writing new songs, the band's album The Killer Instinct, which was my number one album of 2015, and a lot more. I will warn you, towards the very end of the interview, the internet connection squawked a little bit, 5 seconds here, 2 seconds there. Did it like 2 times. I left everything in, but it is a fantastic interview. So I'd like to thank Ricky for that. And without further ado, here is Ricky Warwick. We are talking with Ricky Warwick of Black Star Riders and also Thin Lizzy. And first we'll just say good day, Ricky. Pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be great to be on.
Great to be on. And of course, last year, 2015, you put out with the Black Star Riders The Killer Instinct, which I voted my number one album of 2015.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolute masterpiece. I got to tell you, it was brilliant from start to finish. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the new albums, but in fact, let's get started with that. You've got a new album. In fact, one wasn't enough, so you made 2, right? When Patsy Cline Was Crazy and Guy Mitchell Sang the Blues, and of course, Hearts on Trees. They both started off as PledgeMusic campaigns.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try. It's a long story. I'll try and make it as short as I possibly can. Basically, I'm back home in Belfast. It's Christmas 2009. I'm going to see my local soccer team play their game. They play their biggest rivals the day after Christmas every year. It's snowing. Game gets cancelled. End up in the pub as you do with some of the guys I go to the games with. Talking to one of them, he says, "I write poetry. I'd love to show it to you." The statement strikes fear into every artist when somebody says that, because it's like me turning up at your house and going, "I believe you called a plumber. I have no official training, but I'm going to fix your pipes anyway." So, people say that usually it's not great. I mean, they think it's great and that's all that matters. But usually when, they give it to me, I say, look, I kind of write my own lyrics. I don't really need any help. This guy called Sam Robinson showed me this song, this idea he'd written called When Patsy Cline Was Crazy and Guy Mitchell Sang the Blues. My jaw hit the floor. I went, this is fantastic. This is about where we're from, East Belfast, our lives. I would love to write some music for this. And that's when it started. We started writing songs together. And then 2010 happened. I got the call to join Thin Lizzy and was on tour continuously for the next sort of 4 years. I didn't have time to get into the studio because I was just going to make a 10-track, 11-track follow-up solo album. We kept writing the songs. Finally, in 2014, I had a break and I looked at what we'd written. We had 23 songs. I couldn't pick 10 from them. I said, you know what? Let's do a double album. And, I knew I wouldn't get the level of funding I needed from record companies. So after talking to some friends, I decided to go along the Pledge route, and that was it.
How was the Pledge experience for you? Because I actually used it in 2013. I had put together this KISS tribute to help out a palliative care home in the locally, and I thought it was wonderful. Was it as wonderful for you? Was it a good experience?
I thought it was wonderful too. I mean, for everybody's different, but I'm really good friends with Ginger Wildheart, who plays in the UK band The Wild Hearts, and Ginger
Great band.
Was one of the first people to ever really, major artists to really go and use the Pledge campaign, and he was phenomenal at it and really successful at it and just broke the mold. So I talked with Ginger and we're lucky that we share quite a large fan base and I have some very loyal and dedicated people out there that buy our stuff. So he said, look, this is absolutely right for you. But he said, make sure you give them great content and make sure you feel like they're involved. So with that in mind, I went into it, and wanted to make sure that these people are going to commit up front before even they've heard a note, which is a big ask. And I wanted to make sure that they were involved every step of the way, that they would be involved in the choices of what songs went on where, and and, and give away a bunch of good free stuff as well, which is really where the Stairwell Troubadour album came from. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But
right.
Every week I give away live tracks from just playing in my living room, my house, and make them available, keep them updated at least once, twice, certainly sometimes more, 2-3 times a week of what was going on. And it was just phenomenal for me. I would never have got the finance that I needed to make 2 albums in the way that I wanted to, and which is quality time in a studio, not watching the clock, working with the best engineers, and because I wanted, if I was going to do this, I was going to make sure it was damn right. You know what I mean? And they made it possible. They did it.
Right. Is there a certain artistic freedom that goes with this? Because even if a record company does give you the cash, they also give you their opinion. Oh, that's not fast enough. That's not slow enough. It's not a love. Of course.
Yeah.
Does this change things for you to do it this way?
Yeah, I mean, it's it brings out the narcissism in you. I mean, you're in charge and you're cutting out the middleman, and you're not dealing with that record company thing. And we're very blessed in Black Star Riders. We have a great label in Nuclear Blast, and I love being on that label, and I love the people there. But this is something that was very defined in what we wanted to achieve with Sam Robinson and I writing these 2 records. It was very clear cut about how we wanted to go, and I didn't need any outside input. I mean, that maybe sounds a little bit facetious, but I didn't. I knew exactly what we needed to make these records to sound the way they did, and to convey the stories and the songs and get that across. So I found it really liberating. I really, really did. I mean, it was just great for me to be the narcissist that I am, and get in the studio and not have to sort of consult 5 other people or 6 other people about what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Now, with the Black Star Riders off this year and eventually having to get together to write a new album, do you not look at some of these songs sometimes and think, "Ooh, I should have saved that for Black Star"? Or does Damon Johnson?
There was a few raised eyebrows when I played it to the guys. No, it could have been. But I think they understand that Black Star Riders is my priority, and the amount of stuff that I bring in for Black Star Riders, and I think hopefully the quality is they feel is top notch. And I've certainly never not been wanting going, well, you've used all your good riffs and all your good ideas on your solo albums, we get nothing left, because that's never the case, and I would never let that be the case. I mean, Damon Johnson and I have just completed the sort of first get together and writing for the next Black Star Riders this week. And we've 12 songs finished, ready to go in 4 days. Because I'm always writing. I'm writing constantly, and because I never want to be caught short. Because I've got a lot of ideas, luckily enough, but I just never want to be in the situation where, you get into that room and you're sitting there staring at the wall and each other for half a day. I hate that. Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about Damon, because I know Damon. Our kids were born around the same time.
Right on.
We exchanged baby pictures back in the day, and he's really like an unsung hero, right? He's one of these, unfortunately, sort of undiscovered great talents. Who's he's had some discovery, obviously, but
sure,
he's a superstar, right?
He's phenomenal. Yeah. He's a phenomenal guitar player. I mean, he's
and
just
writer.
magical guitar player. And he's a great writer, and we both work very well together. I bring a lot of stuff in. I mean, I'm gonna blow my own trumpet. I bring a lot of riffs. A lot of Black Star Riders riffs are mine. All the lyrics, but Damon takes them places that I wouldn't dream of taking them, and that's what's great. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what makes it magical when I work with Damon. I'll have an idea and I go, why don't you play it this way? Why don't you do that? Why don't you make this the chorus? Why don't And that's what I love about working with Damon. It's like, I got this idea. It goes, yeah, it's great, but he takes it somewhere else that makes it even better. And we just have this great chemistry, and we're both very open to each other's ideas and each other's tastes in music. I mean, he's a southern rock boy from Alabama, and I'm a punk rocker from Belfast, and we're poles apart. But we, much as Damon will get me into Blackfoot, I'll have got him into the Clash and that kind of stuff. So it's just a great vibe that we have, and we work very well together, and we both know instinctively what is going to work and what isn't, and we're not afraid to tell each other either. I don't dig that, or I don't think that's up to scratch. it's just a good understanding. Well, that's come with, years of being in the business. I think so, but I also think we're very similar backgrounds. We were both brought up at small farms. We're both from working class backgrounds. We're both been instilled that, the good manners and being honest and working hard is the right way to go about things. And I think, bearing that in mind, we just click.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Now, we talked about PledgeMusic being liberating for you to go write what you want and do it the way you want to do it. Was it liberating for you when Scott Gorham came to you and said, "Listen, we're going to make this new album, but we can't call it Thin Lizzy. We're going to call it Black Star Riders," or as the guys decided that you're going to call it something else? Did that sort of lift a weight off your shoulder where you could say, we're not going to get compared now?
It's a great question. It was a bizarre time. It really was, because in your sort of heart, you're kind of going, well, when we were writing for Thin Lizzy, as it was going to be under the Thin Lizzy moniker when we first started, you're kind of going, is this okay? Should we be doing this? I mean, this is the first, record they've ever made without Phil. I mean, playing the songs live is one thing, but is this too much? And this is a big risk, and blah, 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 blah. And then your head's going, you're going to be on the Thin Lizzy record. It's going, you know what I mean? Your head's going, you're going to be Ricky Warwick, and you're going to be on the new Thin Lizzy studio album. So there's this constant battle going on between your heart and your head about what was right. And I think that when the realization was made that this is absolutely not the right thing to do, there was a weight lifted off everybody's shoulders, because it was the right call and it was the right thing to do, not to record under Thin Lizzy. And then it did. I mean, it suddenly it was like, well, we don't have to adhere to this almost ideal that every song has to have this certain Lizzy sound and all that, which we'll always have because of the clientele and who's in Black Star Riders. Scott's Scott, and he's always going to have that sound, and we love it. But yeah, suddenly the pressure was off. Suddenly, I'm not in the shadow of Phil Lynott. You know what I mean?
And
there's nothing wrong with being. And listen, believe me, I enjoy being in the shadow of Phil Lynott. It's an honor and a privilege to be in the shadow of that man. But suddenly I wasn't. Suddenly I could go, right, I can do what I want here now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I gotta say, as a fan, I had a reaction that I wasn't expecting. Is when you finished the Judas Priest tour and there was talk of this album coming out, I said, I'm not buying a Thin Lizzy album. I don't know why. I just said, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
And then it changed the name, and I said, oh, I want to check this out. And it's silly because it's the same songs, it's the same guys. It would have been the same bloody product, but my brain didn't want to accept it in one verse. And I guess for you must have seen that too online and fans at shows.
You just can't win really whatever you do. So you just have to do what you feel is right and what you believe in. And I think we've always been very respectful. Certainly I have, about what we've done. And it's the whole thing that, people don't get it. And I'm the biggest Lizzy fan there ever was. You should have got a guy that played bass guitar with an afro singing. That's what you should have done when you put Lizzy back together. I'm like, that's the biggest insult you could ever give Phil Lynott and what he's done in his memory.
Right, making him a caricature, right?
By making him a caricature. And then it is just a tribute. Then it is just it's almost a piss take. There's one Phil. Phil is irreplaceable. To get somebody that tried to copy him or look like him, it's crass. It's dumb. And that's what Scott set out, from the point. He didn't want a bass playing singer. He wanted to continue the Lizzy legacy, but he wanted it to be an evolution and be different, because Phil's irreplaceable. And people don't get that. And it's so easy. It's so clear. The man is nobody's trying to replace him. All we were trying to do is sing those wonderful, amazing songs.
Right. Keep the spirit alive.
Keep them alive, keep the spirit alive, and take them to people that maybe never got to see Thin Lizzy or want to come and hear those songs again. And that's what we did. There was no other agenda on the table. That was it. And then people were like, you guys should do an album. You guys should write some new stuff. You guys, blah, blah, blah. And we were getting, we were getting all that. And we were going, well, we all love writing songs. So we're like, well, maybe we should. And of course, it grew legs. And before we know it, we'd, 12, 11 songs written. And then it was like, hang on a minute, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. and that's when the sort of the shit hit the fan, and we said, look, let's not do this as Thin Lizzy, and it was the right call. It was, I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't regret it. Don't regret it for 1 second. I haven't, there's not been one moment where I've gone, oh man, I wish we'd really stuck to our guns and put it out as Thin Lizzy, because it's almost like my conscience is clear. I would definitely would have struggled with it, on a daily basis.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life,
And quite frankly, a lot of the Lizzy fans checked it out anyway because of Scott and because of what the band had been doing previously.
Right.
So let's get to 2016 if I can, and if you don't mind, just deviating
Sure.
to Lizzy for a bit.
Of course.
So when Black Star announces, people go, that's the end of Lizzy.
Yeah.
They're done. And here we are in 2016. You've got Mikkey Dee of Motörhead joining you, and you're going to go do these anniversary shows.
Mm-hmm.
What was the decision there? And also, I noticed two things. There was no bass player announced.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I spoke to Marco Mendoza and interviewed him, he said, well, if Lizzy comes back, I'll go back and do stuff. So is Marco coming in? Is that something we haven't decided yet? And
No, Marco won't be coming in. Marco's busy doing the Dead Daisies and his other stuff.
Okay.
We're about to announce a bass player very soon. Thin Lizzy's Scott's band. It's his thing, and I'm honored and privileged to be a part of that. Now Scott did say when we did Black Star Riders come out, look, he didn't say this is the end of Thin Lizzy. Those words were never said. He said,
no, but the fans
there may
sort
be
of
some
assumed.
shows down the line, and this is what's happened. Scott's, we're taking a year off to work on this third album, and it coincided with the 40th anniversary of Jailbreak and the 30th anniversary. Scott said, "Hey, I'd really like a couple of Lizzy shows," and we're like, "Yeah, that's going to be fun. That's going to be great," And Brian didn't want to do it for personal reasons, and it just fortunately, our good friend Mikkey Dee, after what happened to Lem, is free and available, and Lizzy Nutt wanted to do it, and it just aligned. You know what I mean?
Right. So what can fans expect on these shows? I mean, is it really going to stick to just shows, or do we think there'll be a live album or a DVD?
No, it's 6 shows, and that's it.
That's it.
That's it. And there's no tours, there's no recordings being made, it's 6 shows, and then we're very much back into Black Star. We're due to record the album in August in Nashville again. And so, we'll do these 6 shows, and then, I don't know, maybe in a year, 2 years' time, maybe there might be another 2 or 3 Thin Lizzy shows. I don't know. Again, that's up to how Scotty's feeling and if he wants to do it.
No,
we want these shows. We just want this to be special and a celebration. And I think to do a full tour isn't part of that. We don't have the time. We don't have the time. We're committed to BSR.
Okay. Our audio is squelching there a little bit, but let me keep going. So, so you've written the songs with Damon now, and then in August you go into Nashville. Is this a 2016 project, or is this we'll get it ready for 2017?
It'll be out early 2017, Mitch. We're still writing the songs. We've started. We're off to a great start. Scott will bring in some killer riffs, which he always does, which I'm looking forward to getting into. So I'm hoping that we're going to have at least 24, 25 solid ideas ready to go into the studio with come August.
Well, you did though, but you used them on 2 solo albums.
You know what? It's going to sound terrible, but I didn't. Those were completely different. Right. I've actually got the next solo album pretty much together as well. So there you go. I've obviously got too much time in my hands.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. You've got Stairwell Troubadour. Now there was a PledgeMusic campaign running for it. As we speak, there's 2 days left on the campaign, but by the time I post this next week, it will have closed.
Sure.
It's a covers album. So what kind of details do we have? Are you covering, anything under the sun, whether it's Iron Maiden and ABBA and this, or is it very specific to?
No, it's something that came about where I would give away with the Pledge campaign for when Patsy Cline Was Crazy. I would start this thing, and somebody called it Stairwell Troubadour. I'd sit in the stairwell in a house and I played some of my favorite songs acoustically, and people loved it and went down really well. And more and more people said, "We want to get an album of this stuff. You should do an album. You should do an album." These are people on the Pledge, and I said, you guys asked for it. I think it's a great idea. So we did an album, and I picked. I think I gave 20 songs, and then the people pick the ones that went on the record. Just three of the ones that got the most votes and stuff like that.
Right, and in fact,
I initially decided it was stuff that influenced me and some funny stuff, and just a real mishmash of ideas.
Yeah. Boy, unfortunately, audio on my side is starting to fizzle out. But
I'm sorry. Is that better for you?
Well, it seems to be like the internet connection, the Wi-Fi or something is bugging out, which is too bad because I had so much more. But on the on this what do you call it? The Stairwell Troubadour, you are covering, if that's the right word, the Almighty. You're doing Jesus Loves You, which I don't know if you're covering it because you sort of are the Almighty. So right.
A song that everybody still keeps asking me about, and I play live when I do the solo shows a lot, and it's one of my favorite Almighty songs, and that's on there because of that, really,
And before I let you go, let's quickly talk about the Almighty. It sort of was, your band, it was your brand, but I always got the sense, especially even when I interviewed you back like in 2002 or whatever it was,
mm-hmm.
It always seems as though you wanted to get out of that situation as fast as possible. It never seemed to be your place, even though it was your place.
It's really, really funny, Mitch, you said that, and that's very, very astute of you. One of the conversations I had with Lemmy, I did some shows opening up for the Headcat about 5-6 years ago, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And we were talking, and he started asking me about the Almighty, and he said the very same thing to me. Now, we toured with Motörhead, and we'd hung out quite a lot in a day, and he just said, "You never seem to be comfortable in your own skin in that band." And I don't think I was, because I don't know. I can't really put my finger on why. It was a great band, and I had a great time, and it was what we achieved was beyond our wildest dreams, and gave me the platform for everything else that really I've done in my life. But I don't know. I felt constricted. We didn't. It was no secret we didn't get on the best as individuals when we were on the road, which never makes it easy. And I don't know. Maybe it's hard. But I certainly was very restless within that band, and always looking around. And I honestly don't know why.
Was it youth, perhaps? You were just...
I think it was youth, naivety, a little bit of arrogance that comes with that. I don't know. I've always listened to so much music from, not just metal and hard rock, just everything. I've just always devoured it, and I don't know whether I felt, constricted being in that situation or whatever, but it was, it stopped becoming fun after a while. And the tours, when the tours were coming up, it was like, oh God, I'm going to get on the bus, and because if you're not getting on, and it's great when you're young, that usually manifests in a devastating live show, because you're all taking that aggression onto the stage with you, and with a band like the Almighty, it worked really well in our favor. But it gets tiresome after a while too, there's still two of the guys that I don't talk to, which is very sad, and there's been olive branches reached out, and there's been some, certainly one of them doesn't want to know, or doesn't want to have anything to do with us, and I find that extremely sad, Do
you think at some point, as everybody gets older, and we just say, hey, we had a good thing, let's just put it to bed the right way, let's go do 5 shows or 10 shows and say goodbye properly? You think that could happen?
It's just too short to hold grudges, and
I agree.
I'm very much of that opinion.
Yeah, I agree, and I see that our time is up, and of course the internet is squelching on my end. So let me just finish with this. When Lemmy passed away, you said the heart of rock and roll died. You care to expand on that?
Yeah, everything else, that was a quote that was sensationalized. What I said a part of the heart of rock and roll died, but obviously it was like, no, the heart of rock and roll's dead. I mean, listen, rock and roll's huge, and Lemmy was a huge part of it. So a part of that's gone forever. The music lives on. We'll always have that, but I don't feel we'll ever see the likes of somebody like Lemmy again. He was unique. His attitude, everything about the man was brilliant, and he was from that era. When there just was, to me, real rockers, him and Phil. You just look at them, and you wouldn't even have the other guys play a note, and you're going to just love them. And it's just a void, and I just don't see it being filled. Or do I maybe want it to be filled? Hello.
You still there?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was just going to say, I don't think the music industry is set up in a way that you can feel it anymore, because everything is so ephemeral now. It's here on Monday and it's gone on Friday. You just don't have these characters that can develop and have these stage presence, and it's unfortunate. But
I couldn't agree more. There's no soul in it anymore, and it's anybody can make music, and there's no quality filter, and there's no having to rehearse in the garage and having to learn your craft, and having gone out there, having the experiences and building that's, look, it's still there if you're wise enough to go out there and use it and do your homework and understand that's how to have a lifelong career and how to become a great rock and roller. But people will always take the shortcuts, and the shortcuts unfortunately come at a price, and the price is there's no soul in it.
Yeah, I agree. But in the meantime, we've got 2 new Ricky Warwick albums and a third coming up, and that certainly satiates me. And then, of course, Black Star Riders next year. Keep up the good work is all I'm going to say, because it has been I don't even know how to qualify that. The music had a spiritual connection for me. I mean, that Killer Instinct, it was glorious, for lack of a better word.
Thank you so
glorious.
much.
And I've heard the 2 solo albums, and they're great. They're distinct, they're different, but I think fans who appreciate what you do with Lizzy, who appreciate what you do with Black Star, who appreciate you, are really going to enjoy these. So pick them up, folks.
Thank you. I hope so. Thank you very much.
And always a pleasure. And please let's keep in touch. Let's do another one of these whenever anything you've got coming out. When the covers album comes out, let's do another one.
Anytime you want, Mitch, and hopefully get better. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And thanks to your support, and thanks to everybody out there for their support.
Thank you, Ricky.
Take care, buddy.
Bye. Cheers.
See you. Bye.
And there you have it, folks, my interview with Ricky Warwick of the Black Star Riders and Thin Lizzy. When Patsy Cline Was Crazy, Hearts on Trees, and Stairwell Troubadour are the 3 albums that he's got for you this year. And he's working on new Black Star Riders music with Damon Johnson and the guys, which will come out in 2017. Again, if you haven't heard The Killer Instinct, which was their album in 2015, do yourself a favor, go pick that up immediately. Pick up the deluxe edition. It's got a whole bunch of interesting bonus tracks, so definitely worth checking out. Again, find me at Mitch Lafon on Twitter, and thank you. Bye for now.